Folks, we are interrupting your regularly scheduled football talk to take on some basketball news.
Predicting basketball. Predicting basketball. No more about football. So predicting basketball.
It's catchy.
It is catchy. We need to use that more. We're not really predicting basketball because Luis Martinez, the Big Chief Burrito, Reed Murphy here, host of the 323. I thought that I knew we would talk a little bit of basketball because the season just began. NBA on NBC is back. That made everybody feel nice and nostalgic. Roundball Rock, which I think we can actually play. That's dicey, but I heard it was public domain. I don't know. We'll reach out to John Tesh. But I thought we'd talk about that. I thought we'd talk about the Larry O'Brien Trophy returning to the center of the NBA Finals. Like they're actually doing the things that people want to, hear about. Or I thought we'd talk about some of the wild play, like Wembanyama looking absolutely video game like a giraffe playing baseball or basketball. It's scary as hell to watch him. However, even if we were talking controversy, I figured maybe it's Kawhi Leonard and aspiration and all that going on with the Clippers and the NBA's investigation of it. But what happens, Luis, on this shining morning, the shining Thursday morning that we record, is that the NBA has a new controversy they weren't even expecting. The FBI, Kash Patel, who rides to Valhalla, brother.
Hey, Kash Patel.
Yeah, yeah. They make a significant, what do they call it, a horse and pony show of this whole thing. Several arrests made throughout the country of an FBI investigation into illegal sports gambling. And we have an arrest of one, I'm losing his name already. Chauncey Billups.
Hall of Famer?
Yes,
Hall
the
of
Hall
Fame,
of Famer.
coach of the Portland Trailblazers, NBA champion with the Detroit Pistons.
And that loser with the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, just when you thought this, honestly, this NBA season was shaping up to be one of the greatest. We had one of the most monumental trades in NBA history last year with Luka going to the Lakers. Then you have LeBron hinting at wanting to be traded. You had the Rockets going all in, getting Durant. You had trying to figure out. We talked about this last week. Wemby, literally like a god create a player mode. Like if you're on 2K and you're creating like yourself, you're calling him like Reed, and he's 7'5", and he can fucking dunk and block every shot. Oh, but he's also got handles. They can also hit threes. Fadeaway step back threes at 7'5". Fuck. And then we had the Kawhi thing, which we all kind of knew about, which is kind of like the untold Cosby and the comedy world thing. And then all of a sudden this shit drops out of nowhere. The NBA had been investigating Terry Rozier. They didn't find anything, but Kash Patel and the FBI all of a sudden dropped this major fucking bomb today. And the reason that it's interesting is because it touches in the NBA, but as well as the poker world, which I'm also in. And we all knew that once betting and betting apps became a thing all across every state, when ESPN had and every sports show had this is the bet that we should put in thing, that there was going to be shadiness involved. A lot of people that are from the NFL, NBA, a lot of athletes, they'll have entourage people that are sort of have a little shady past. You know this was going to happen. It's already happened several times. That's why we got to keep changing the name of the betting slip to different players every season, because every year or every few months, it's a different player that gets caught. And now it's going to be the Terry Rozier betting slip, I'm assuming.
That'll be NBA season.
Yeah. No, that's up to Scott, but we'll figure it out. But specifically on the poker side, there was and I sent you guys a clip of this. There was a poker podcast called Only Friends, and they were just basically talking in 2023 about some of their pro poker player friends and themselves getting invited to go play at this high profile game centered around Chauncey Billups. This was over 2 years ago. And essentially, they would try to get these fish, some of them professional poker players, some of them just big money whales in Vegas that play at private games, to go based around the fact that everybody wants to go play with a sports superstar. Come play with Chauncey Billups, Hall of Famer. Come play with this guy, Hall of Famer, NFL player, NBA player, etc. And what was happening is some of these pros went to this game and they came back and talked to other pro players, and they're like, something funny's happening. To really understand what's going on, there's been a few poker cheating scandals over the last couple of years. If you guys want to get into the weeds, Google YouTube videos about Mike Postle. Joey Ingram did some videos about him breaking down. This was a poker player that used to play on stream that never made the wrong decision. If you know poker odds and poker betting patterns, you know that there's certain things that you don't do as a poker player, or positions that you're never going to put yourself in. And apparently at this poker game, these players were betting huge amounts of money with very little equity in the hand. Basically, like if you had a signal that you had like a 7 and a deuce, and you're like, oh shit, I'm never going to win with this hand. But somebody at the table says, hey, Reed, they send you a signal that says, oh, but at the end of the hand, as long as you don't fold, you're going to have the best hand. Because the last card is going to be a 7 and the last two cards are going to be a 7 and a deuce. And you're going to make two pair, and you're going to beat the guy that's got pocket queens. So no matter what happens, stay in the hand. So you'd have these ridiculous people that are paying money to be in a hand, and then they don't get anything. And then the guy with queens is betting, and the guy with 7 deuce is calling and then betting more. And it doesn't make sense to that. That's not a thing that happens in poker unless you have insider information. There's the Jack Forehand in Hustler Live Casino a couple of years ago, where somebody called with a Jack and a 4 and ended up winning the hand. And it's just not a thing that happens if you know anything about poker. So these poker players sussed it out right away. And then this podcast episode from 2023, they're basically saying, these guys were making ridiculous hands. Only the pro players and the fish were losing. All the people that were part of the game were winning tons of money. And apparently they had software where they had like James Bond software where they could x-ray and see what the card was. And they also had shufflers that would, when they were giving out the cards, would read the cards. So as soon as the cards were dealt, they would know this player is going to have the best hand. All they have to do is stay in the hand, bet as much as they want. They're going to win the hand as long as they don't fold. And when you have that information, it's basically like printing money. And these games would happen in New York, they would happen in Las Vegas, and in other cities. And for several years, it's been happening. So the fact that it caught up to them, and that it made this big a splash, is incredible. Like when you thought it would be like, what's happening? Like, what's another Woj bomb? And Woj is gone. We don't get Woj bombs anymore. Woj retired. Woj is out of college, so it's kind of a strange place, this NBA going crazy. I'm curious to think what you thought when you heard about it.
I was blown away seeing that Chauncey Billups was involved. First off, I'll read the official thing just so we don't get caught up in anything, right? Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier were arrested Thursday, along with more than 30 other people accused of participating in schemes involving illegal sports betting and rigged poker games backed by the mafia. Many things to consider here. One, I didn't know the mafia was still, going strong like that. I thought that had gone, with the old days of, selling DVD players. I didn't know that was still around. I didn't know. Well, the card games kind of piqued my interest because I remembered Gilbert Arenas getting arrested just a few months back during the summer. He's turned it into content since then for helping run illegal, or like renting his house out for illegal poker games. I haven't seen anything that's tied it directly to this, but he was happily talking about how he would snitch if need be. And then that's like the other thing was Terry Rozier, where Terry Rozier was being investigated for this already by the NBA. and by, Commissioner Adam Silver, and they cleared him recently of any wrongdoing, saying nothing happened. So I would really, really like to know what the NBA investigated, what they found out, because this is when it comes to, doing things in game and causing, the outcomes of games, maybe betting on yourself or betting on points or anything like this, missing a couple rebounds, shaving off a little bit of points. I don't think that this is something as uncommon as many people would like to think, right? Like, I think this is probably something that's been happening for years, but now that sports betting has become much more legalized throughout the country, that it's actually being tied into these sports leagues, you're seeing a direct partnership between the leagues and the sports books, to where all of this data that, DraftKings Sportsbook has, they can now share it directly to their partners in the NBA and say, hey, look, check this out. See if any names ring a bell or anything like this is going to be interesting to you. And I think that this is going to be something that's going to continue to be common. I think you're going to have dummies do this. The NBA is going to have to send a very, very strong message, because they already had the issue with Jonte Porter. You do not want this to continue to be a thing and to be, get bigger and snowball out of control, especially when you're looking like a joke right now for clearing a dude who you were investigating for this and saying, oh no, he's good. Now Cash Patel's got him, and, throwing it out there on live TV to make a point and to make a face of your league. It makes you not trust the league whatsoever. Because now this is the same league that's investigating Kawhi Leonard and aspiration, and Adam Silver saying, no, I had never heard of aspiration before this. I didn't know. I didn't know Kawhi Leonard was working a second job for these people.
He had a no-show job.
Yeah, a no-show job. And from
Talk about the mob,
where it was something originally like you could think maybe, yeah, he's probably going to get away with it. Steve Ballmer will get away with it. They'll just throw it on somebody else. Now you're looking at maybe an overcorrection by Adam Silver in the NBA, and maybe this is going to hit the Clippers insanely hard, to kind of correct the embarrassment of this Terry Rozier thing. And not only Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, a head coach in your league, and Damon Jones, a former star in your league. So, yeah, it's a very interesting story to me. It's going to be very interesting to see the drama play out, and I don't feel like this is going to be the end of it, let alone in the NBA or any other sport.
I'm interested in seeing how Adam Nosferatu Silver survives this, because why, if you're in the league, would you have confidence in him going forward? He's supposed to be policing the owners. He's supposed to be the one keeping them all in check. And if he's letting people get away with stuff, I mean, David Stearns was a very corrupt commissioner, and I'm a corrupt commissioner of a fantasy football league, so I understand corruption. And everybody, a little corruption is okay, but this is too much corruption. This is over the line, more corruption than I know. You just sprinkle a little corruption on there, a little collusion, never hurt nobody. I'm all for, nepotism and cronyism when it benefits black and brown people. But I do think that it is interesting, and I don't know if Adam Silver is gonna survive this. Honestly, if it's found out credible that the NBA had credible evidence and they slid it under the table and the FBI picked it up, or the only way that Adam Silver, I think, gets saved by this, if it turns out that the NBA did a thorough job, found nothing, but the FBI wanting to make a splash, wanting to prove that they're doing some shit. Because you got to figure out, a lot of what's happening in the FBI and other investigative agencies is that a lot of agents are getting told to stop investigating crimes, investigating drugs and a lot of stuff, and they're being sent over to immigration enforcement. So there's a lot of money. That's all that the government has money for. So I've been thinking the last couple of days, it's actually a really good time to be a drug dealer or to be doing some other shit, because there's not a lot of resources out there for these kind of things. And then all of a sudden the FBI does a curve and is like, aha, see? You thought we were incompetent, but we're actually going after more black people. So there's our thing. Here's our investigation into the shady NBA. But people lost money, and it calls for the integrity of the game. Because if you're the 11th player and you're getting get on the bench and Price Picks or DraftKings puts up a 2 over under on rebounds, and you get in a rebound, and then all of a sudden you're about to get your third rebound, but you fumble it off your hands, or you know what I mean, like you let it go behind you, or you turn your head, and so there's who's to say why people do things in the game, right? You'd like to think everybody's being either 100% active, going as hard as they can, or just being lazy. But when you add a third element of them being calculated, this all starts with like, we know you're going to win the game. You're going to win the game. We just don't want you to win by more than 14. Just win by 12, win by 9, win by 11. You're not harming anybody. All we're doing is make a little extra money and you get to pay off your gambling debt. That's how it starts. What's the difference if you get 7 rebounds or you get 6 rebounds? Right? You're still going to win or lose the game. That's not going to change, but we can make a little extra money. So this is happening all over the place. And the other thing is a lot of these people have shady people that are part of their entourages in their past. Like same thing. Kawhi had his uncle that was going in there and asking people for just straight cash payments before Kawhi would meet with them.
Uncle Dennis.
You know what I mean? Uncle Dennis, was doing the damn thing. Get in where you fit in, like Ben Affleck's fucking character and Goodwill Hunting, going in there in the interviews and being like, come on, give me $50. You know what I mean? So I honestly, man, this is shaping up to be one of the most interesting NBA. Honestly, it's good for the NBA because Roundball Rock is back. We had a fucking interview with Michael Jordan, so he's back in the mix. The Knicks are back. They won against Cleveland opening night. And then you still got this Kawhi thing. What if shit, let me say, like, what if it's like Clippers and fucking Heat in the finals? That'd be hilarious, So I'm locked in because as somebody who plays poker, who loves poker, who goes to some of these home games, who's been who can kind of see the angles of where people can get cheated. It's always been like an underlying thing in LA home games, Vegas home games, that there's always this underlining of, you could be getting fucked, you could be getting played. People could be working together, even at some smaller card rooms. I've gone to places and played cards where I feel like people are playing together. So there's always a little bit of shadiness, which is why for the longest time, the founding fathers of sports decided to not have sports franchises in Las Vegas. But a few years ago, we all were like, yeah, but money and gambling is fun. And now we have a full, when it was dying out, because I used to be into gambling, parlays, shit, it was dying out for a little while. And now it's back with a fucking vengeance. You have more commercials about gambling than you do about beer during fucking games or during, you know what I mean? Like during games and during shit. And it's all about like, you could be part of the action and you could be this, and it makes it more fun. And yeah, we know gambling makes shit more fun. It also can ruin your life, take away your savings, shit like that. So, for everybody that's thinking about going to like home poker, like home or like advertised games for celebrities and thinking about taking your shot, don't. Just go play at a casino or play in your home game for 25 cents with your homeboys or for $1 with your friends. Don't go out to private games because there's a good chance that you could be getting fucked. Not in a good way.
And in all that controversy, just remember, Roundball Rock is back. Don't look over here. Don't look at the controversy in our betting problems.
Pay no attention to the controversies and the shady. He's a fucking a Hall of Fame head coach of the Portland Trailblazers got arrested by the FBI for rigging poker games.
Trees. Don't worry about anything he else is gonna do.
Was he? I mean, I would call him by his real name, but F slur Chauncey. What did they listen from that movie?
You gotta watch. Folks, that is Luis Martinez, the Big Chief Burrito. You can catch him on the Terry Rozier betting slip. Thank you for being here, buddy.
And talking poker strategy with Chauncey Billups.